Hello and welcome to another video from fantasyfootballscout.co.uk. Today I'm joined by David to discuss the latest lineup and injury news from this week's press conferences. David, welcome. How are you?
Yeah, very good, thanks. It's a bit of a strange one this week. Me and Neil have swapped videos, and he's done mine, and I'm doing his.
Yes, it is. So now you've done this before though, so it's fine.
Oh, yeah.
You're an old hand, so it's not like it's all new to you. So let's start off with a team where there's been a few doubts during the week as well, particularly amongst their defence, and that's Liverpool. Now they've got on paper a really good fixture at home to Leicester. So what's the latest from Klopp?
Yeah, there's quite a lot from Klopp, and I think just how bad, well, not necessarily how bad, but how extensive the potential injury situation was at Liverpool was demonstrated quite nicely by the fact that the journalist who opened the questioning listed off the names of players he'd like an update on, and Klopp was like, well, which one do you want me to start with first? And so he started off with Virgil van Dijk, which I think,
Yes,
to be honest, is probably the most important one for fantasy managers, the most important update that we need, because even those of us who don't own Van Dijk, him not being in the team would obviously reduce the value of people like Robertson or Alisson, for example. He's had this illness kind of from Friday over the weekend, and it kind of sounds like he's largely over it now. He's returned to training, as we can from the quote that he was trained yesterday. He's going to train today as well. To be honest, I think from that he probably will start. But Klopp is just covering himself by saying, we will see. If it's just an illness and he's been able to train twice, then that tells me that he's ready to go.
Yeah, that does sound promising, and they need him as well. Since they've got him in, they need him because he equals clean sheets really. I'm not sure where they'd be without him. Now, what about Alexander-Arnold? Now, we've had some. Is he ready? Is he? They've been last time we did one of these videos. It was changing almost on a daily basis. He was fit, wasn't fit, fit, wasn't fit. Have we got something definite from Klopp this time around ahead of game week 24?
Yeah, thankfully enough, we do actually have something a lot more definite this time. But it does kind of continue the Trent Alexander-Arnold hokey cokey. I mean, that's just generally what it's been for the last couple of weeks. He's basically been ruled out of this particular fixture.
Oh, okay, definite then. That's good.
Yeah, definitely ruled out. So, I mean, Klopp has said that it's positive. He's very happy with the progress that he's making. He's getting closer and closer, he says. But he won't be ready for the Leicester game. Okay. So, I mean, that is helpful news. Even if you own him, just knowing he's not going to play, I guess it is helpful. But of course, then game week 25 or double game week 25, as we should call it now. My guess he probably will be in the frame. I don't know. We'll find out more in the press conference for that game week. But yeah, so it's a good news on both fronts really, because it's positive that he is continuing to improve. But it's also good whenever we get clear-cut information and we've been told he's not going to play. On that particular subject, though, of course, that may be a little bit of a worry for some people who've got Liverpool assets. Obviously, I include myself in that and you as well, Joe. Because that does leave them a little bit short in the right back position.
Yes. Now Milner is suspended.
That's right. Yeah.
Gomez is injured as well. Klein has gone off to the south coast down at Bournemouth.
That's right.
Who's going to play there?
Well, I mean, my inkling is it might be Fabinho. Basically, Klopp has said that that he said they will have a right back. Whether or not that's someone who is actually a right back, traditionally, I don't know. He also suggested that they might play a wing back, and the way, and that was actually the exact reaction. The noise you just made there was the noise all the journalists made as well, and he seemed to quite enjoy that and was kind of like, oh wow, we might play a wing back. But he's quite reticent to divulge any information on what the solution there is, and then kind of jokingly said, I have no idea who I'm going to play there, which could be true. I don't know. But Fabinho, I think, for me, is the most likely because obviously we know he can play fullback. The only slight caveat with that is that he has had an illness as well, and he's been an injury doubt for that reason. But he's trained as well. So, I mean, on the surface, it looks as if Fabinho will probably play, and he seems like the most likely person to slot in at right back. If it's not him and Klopp is saying that he will play a wing back, then someone like Shaqiri maybe, because we know that he's.
It's another wow from me there.
I know, but I mean that's just my speculation, my opinion. That if he's going to play a wing back, Shaqiri maybe, but again, he could play Fabinho at right back as a wing back. Sorry. So
Fabinho, he's filled in at centre back. He did really well actually. So I think, I think you're right. I think that seems the logical move there, and Klopp's probably just having a bit of fun with the journalists there.
He probably is. He's one of those characters. Isn't
Now let's move on to Crystal Palace. Now, Roy Hodgson has given an update, I believe, about his goalkeeper situation, because he's gone from hardly having any to, well, there's been a change there. So what's the situation ahead of their trip to Southampton?
Yes, so all of a sudden, all three goalkeepers are now fit. So that's Hennessy, Guaita, and Speroni all fit, which means that he now has to make a decision, as he said. Which, if you've got a Crystal Palace goalkeeper, that's frustrating because at this point, it sounds like even Hodgson doesn't necessarily know who he's going to start. My inkling would probably be that if they're all fit, it's probably going to be Guaita, because he was in goal for, I think, game week 17 to 22 when he picked up that injury, and actually looked very good. And those people who've been watching Crystal Palace game in, game out this season were saying that he was doing a lot better than Hennessy was. So if they're all fit, I think he's probably going to start. But of course, Hodgson does have a selection headache, so we can't be 100% certain on that.
Well, I mean, I'm pleased to hear that. I'm a Guaita owner. I'm going to play him. There we go. I'm going to put him in there.
Yeah, I think I would if I had him.
And hope for the best. I know that Hennessy has a few issues with the FA clear up, so that might be on his mind. And obviously Speroni was pretty awful in the league, but he was great in the cup. He did a fantastic double save in the cup. I don't know if you saw that, but I was pretty impressed, really. I think he even impressed himself. But I think it has to be Guaita, hopefully, but you never know. Okay, well, let's move on to Spurs. Speaking of that match, now they host Watford. There's quite a few doubts as well, and I'll be keen to know if he said anything at all about Son. He possibly didn't, but Son is a player that I think if it wasn't for the double game week, he would be top choice to bring in, because he was in fantastic form. But he is, as by his own admission, knackered. So what's the latest from Pochettino?
Yeah, so as you mentioned there, he was pretty tired coming back from the Asian Cup exploits with South Korea. Quite surprised to have him back so soon. And obviously, he is available for this game because due to FIFA regulations, he has to rejoin his club within 48 hours. So, on paper, he's available. Obviously, we had Pochettino talking about it at the weekend, saying that he is tired, but we're going to look at starting him. We do have an updated quote from today. Basically, I'll just read it out and let Pochettino speak for himself. So he basically said, Son came back and today was good in training. Maybe after the third game, as in at the Asian Cup, he felt empty because he was disappointed, but here he's happy. We're going to decide if he'll play from the beginning or the bench, but I'm very optimistic. He showed very good energy. So that's the words of Pochettino. So I guess we can. I mean, that sounds like he's going to be involved in some part. I would suggest he seems optimistic that he'll be involved. It could be from the bench. It could be from the start. My inkling is he probably will start him from the bench because Llorente, while most people are going to remember the fact that he scored the own goal in the most recent game week, his actual underlying data is not too bad. He had a lot of efforts in the games that he's played recently, and I think it would just be good man management not to start Son and then maybe bring him on in the second half. Of course, that's just my opinion of these quotes, but Pochettino is certainly already talking about him being involved in this game. Yeah,
I mean, he's obviously low on options without Ali and without Kane as a kind of an attacking unit there, but he does have options. He has Llorente, as you said. You've got Mora as well, and obviously Lamela, who's always looking up for it. Basically, I think in that cup game he looked the most up for it. So they do have options there. I mean, on paper though, a fit Son is just their best attacking option at the moment.
Oh yeah,
so,
yeah. I mean, if Son was completely fit and completely mentally ready, physically ready, and that's just a no-brainer, isn't it? So,
but for those with Son, hold definitely.
Oh yeah,
by the sounds of it, he's going to get minutes, and it sounds like he's going to be back. Definitely starting.
By the sounds of these quotes, he would definitely, in my opinion, start in game week 25.
Yeah.
So you can hold him definitely.
Yeah, no, I think that's good. Staying with North London, Arsenal. They have a good home game with Cardiff. But do they have any centre-backs left anymore? What's the situation with their depleted and injured defence?
Well, currently on our team prediction in the team news tab, we have Mustafi and Monreal to start centre-back. And I suppose, like you say, I mean, do they count as centre backs? I'm not sure. Emery
Well,
has said that
Mustafi, but yeah, no, Monreal.
I don't know. That's what I mean. There's a lot of people
Well, yeah,
suggesting that
that's what you
Mustafi's
mean.
not a centre back. That's
Yeah.
what I mean. But and Emery has said that we have enough players like a centre back. So I mean, again, I can see why you think that Mustafi
Well,
like.
they got legs and arms and heads.
Exactly, he can jump. Positioning's not great, but hey, so yeah, lots of injuries. But we would probably suggest those two. So it is a bit frustrating for people who've got Kolasinac because I wouldn't really trust that Arsenal defence, but it is Cardiff. So I mean, I think this might be one of those weeks that they can maybe get away with it because Cardiff away from home typically don't score too many goals. He's obviously sort of been talking about maybe bringing in someone else. Gary Cahill is the man who's been getting mentioned in the media. I can tell you that Sarri said today in the Chelsea press conference that he has no news on that particular situation. So I don't think we can assume that Cahill's going there straight away. But yeah, bottom line, Arsenal defensive problems all over the place, but they might just be able to get away with it this week, given that it's Cardiff.
I mean, I was watching the Neil Warnock press conference as well, just on the other side for this, and obviously just the awful news.
Of course,
with Salah there and what happened at Cardiff, and it's obviously had such a devastating, as you would understand, effect on them. And I think I'm right in saying earlier in the season they had it was them. They were the first team to play Leicester after the Leicester chairman died.
That's correct, yeah.
And that was another occasion when no one wants to play really. And I get the sense from Neil Warnock, it's obviously, understandably, it's almost this game's the last thing on his mind, and I think that makes this a tough game to call. Actually, in a bizarre way, I just think the atmosphere is going to be very odd.
Well, it was certainly that way for the Leicester game, wasn't it?
And
really, it almost didn't really feel like a football match in the traditional sense. It just kind of felt like neither team really knew what to
Leicester
do.
Leicester didn't want to play it. Cardiff didn't want to play it, and I suspect they'll be similar with this one as well. They just won't want to play. I mean, obviously they will. They're going to fulfil their duty and stuff, but it just makes me wonder. Just an aside, really, it just makes me wonder whether there should be something within the Premier League.
It is just worth saying that anyone who does actually have Cardiff players right now and you wanted to find out any injury updates on them, is just worth saying that their press conference, understandably, as you've just mentioned, was largely dominated by the disappearance of the new signing and the sad story that was. And then obviously it would be quite trivial for it to then descend into who's fit, who isn't, etc. So that's just a little warning for anyone who does have Cardiff players. You're not going to get much injury updates out of Warnock this week.
Nevertheless, I just thought it was worth mentioning as well because I remembered that Leicester Cardiff game, and it was a very depressing affair indeed, understandably. Let's move on to Man City. They travel to Newcastle. What's the latest, particularly with Mendy as well?
Yeah, so Mendy apparently is much better after he had some kind of swelling in his knee from having played against Burton. So obviously he was out for a long time with the knee problem. He was then back. He then played half an hour against Burton Albion. It was then reported that he kind of, there was a bit of a relapse in his comeback, which is why he wasn't able to be involved since then, FA Cup, etc. But now he's much better, which, it doesn't necessarily mean that he's ready to go. Just means that he's better than before. And so, I mean, obviously, the Mendy situation is obviously relevant for Sané owners, which I believe is both me and you, Joe.
Yes.
It does affect a lot of people. I can't really see Mendy starting this particular game because Danilo is fit and ready and can be involved for starters and has been recently quite a lot. Mendy has still only had half an hour of football in the last couple of months, and that was the Burton game. And because that aggravated something, it just seems unlikely that he'll play against Newcastle. And of course, just pulling it back into the Sané thing, Sané didn't play either of the cup games. So it just seems as if Sané is going to be untroubled this week. I think we might have to pay slightly more attention next week when it's double game week 25. We've got 2 games, maybe Pep wants to rotate a few things. So we're all right for now on that one. Vincent Kompany is and obviously the goalkeeper, Bravo, are the only 2 that are out. So outside of, I personally think Sterling's going to play because he's in a similar situation to Sané. Didn't play in the cups. Aguero started the League Cup but was benched for the FA Cup. So I think he's just got the edge over Jesus. But for the rest of the team in midfield, with the central midfielders with Bernardo, De Bruyne, David Silva, quite tough to call who's going to play this one. I think Bernardo Silva probably has the edge because he seems to have been quite immune to rotation.
He does.
Most
Now,
of the season.
I was looking at doing a bit of early shopping for the double game week, and I was quite surprised. Bernardo Silva is not only quite a regular scorer, I mean, not prolific in terms of points hauls, but he's racking up the points, and he plays a lot. He does play a lot. He's clearly very much in favour, which is what Pep promised at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, that's right.
I just wanted to add that we have a scoutcast taking place this Thursday, which yourself will be joining me, and we've got Az and Luke as well, and it's going to be dominated understandably by the double game week, and we're going to be looking in detail at the City and Everton assets. So hopefully this game week 24, we'll have a lot more information to deal with there as well. So do look out for that. Do tune in if you can live. If not, it will of course be available on YouTube and as a podcast afterwards. But going back to some other teams, other lineup news, I just kind of round up the rest really. Anything else that springs out from any of the other fixtures and teams?
So we had an update this morning from Eddie Howe on Callum Wilson, who is once again, as he seems to always be, an injured out for the next game. He had a knee problem that forced him off against West Ham, and basically he's got to have a fitness test. He seems to have come through a lot of those this season, so maybe it'll be okay. But there's one or two where he hasn't. So, Wilson owners beware. Josh King has been yellow flagged. He hobbled off against West Ham as well. But there was no update on him, whilst there was an update on Wilson. So that would tell me that King's probably fine, and it just didn't come up. But it's not really kick up. That's just my interpretation of the fact there was no update. The only other one, a lot of people probably off Arnautovic at this point, but anyone who is interested or maybe still has him, looking at him for a differential, we reckon he probably will be in the team this week. Things seem to have been drawn to a conclusion in a positive sense as far as Arnautovic and Pellegrini are concerned.
I saw him on Twitter. He had a video telling us that he was absolutely delighted to be staying at West Ham. I noticed he didn't smile once as he said it, though. But
he tends not to be fair. What I thought was really interesting was he said he was back, and I was like, "But you never left. You've always been a West Ham player." It was a very odd one, but I would expect him to be back in the team this week, but just because of signing a new contract and it would seem that him and the club seem to be all right. Whether it'd be interesting to see how the fans, react to him. Well, of course, it is an away game, so we'll have to probably wait till the game after that, but. I'd expect him to be back in the team sooner rather than later. Yeah,
I think he's a player I'm going to be watching out for, actually. I think he's, especially with blank game weeks coming up, etc., looking to kind of freshen up teams, lots of people are. And Arnautovic, let's face it, he's a great player and he's a great fancy asset.
Yeah, when he's on it, he's a good one to have.
But obviously, his injury and the various rumours about transfer speculation have kind of hindered him a little bit recently. Anything else? What about Chelsea? Have we heard anything about Higuain? I mean, let's just assume he's going to start. Have we heard anything otherwise?
No. Chelsea was all very quiet. And I have to admit, I do like a good quiet press conference when they don't have any injury doubts right now. Nothing new was revealed. I would say Higuain almost certainly going to start. Morata's obviously gone back home, gone back to Spain. Which means that the only real alternative as a centre forward is Giroud, and I think if Giroud was going to get considered for a game like this, he probably wouldn't have signed Higuain. So it seems natural to me that Higuain will start this game, and this will be the start of a new era at Chelsea where they hopefully have a centre forward we can trust from a fantasy perspective. So
yeah, I'll be looking out for Alonso this game week as well, because Emerson had a great game in Alonso's absence, and Alonso played in the cup. So it's possible there's some rotation there, not sure, but I mean, I guess Alonso's been trusted all season. He's on my bench anyway this week, but
yeah, he's dead to you apparently.
He's dead to me, as I said on the Scoutcast, but I know a lot of people will be interested in that, especially because he is taking up a valuable slot which could be for a Man City defender for game week 25. So obviously in the Scoutcast we'll discuss that more, but for now, David, thanks so much for joining me. We had some positive news, I think, for a lot of those press conferences for game week 24. Actually, as in kind of definite news rather than kind of maybe nots. And we have some better steer really on who's going to start or at least be in the running for a start. But thanks for that, David, and good luck with the game week.
Yep, and to you too.